President Donald Trump has said proposed Senate legislation to sanction Russia's trading partners would be, quote, OK with me. Joining me now is Bloomberg's chief Asia correspondent, Mathieson. Ros, at moments like this, I always have to question how much weight we should put on these comments from the US president, how much conviction he has behind them. What is your take as to whether or not this is a significant adjustment in terms of the position from the US president?
Well, that's right. He can be quite changeable on this issue, depending really on where his mood is at with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, because he's swung quite a lot on that question. But he does seem to be in a mood of frustration still at the moment with the Russian leader. Clearly that Vladimir Putin is dragging the chain on any kind of push towards a ceasefire, let alone a proper peace deal in the war against Ukraine, that Putin shows no inclination really to try and end his war and no desire to do so. So perhaps a sense of frustration coming in there. And we know that Donald Trump has been OK, for example, penalising India for its purchases of Russian energy. Now he's indicating perhaps other countries as well, including Iran. But the big one in all of this would be China. And there he has another thing to keep in his mind, which is his desire to have that slightly warmer relationship with China, have the trade relationship on a better footing. So he's been quite reluctant to look at China when it comes to purchases of Russian energy. He's been willing to ding India, at least that's for sure. So that's also a really big question. How broad would he be willing to go with this? And is he willing to take on China with this issue? Again, it depends just how frustrated he is with Vladimir Putin. I mean, obviously the economy in Russia is on a war footing. Production has been helping it keep going. But underneath all of that, the economy in Russia is quite fragile and certainly has taken a big hit from this war and all the sanctions, and cutting off the income for Russia from the energy side, again, particularly a big buyer like China, could have an impact on Vladimir Putin. Whether it would persuade him to change course on Ukraine is another thing entirely, because he has shown himself to be very willing to tolerate a lot of pain for the Russian economy in order to continue his war.
So, Ros, when could this legislation that appears to be getting some backing from President Trump, when could it likely go through Congress, go through the House, the Senate, and finally get to the president's desk? What kind of time frame are we looking at?
Well, that is the ultimate question, because it's been sitting there for a while. I mean, the Senate Majority Leader said last month the legislation is ready to go, although he himself said he's not pushing necessarily to get a hard date for it. Again, it depends really on Donald Trump. Does Donald Trump give the green light and say, I'm now willing to sign off on this legislation and put it through? Does he say, I won't object to it if you do put it through? How strong is his endorsement? But we haven't heard from Donald Trump either any sense of a date to vote on it. He gets a bit close and then he seems to waver again, because does he really want to go that far with Vladimir Putin? What happens if he does? Does he still want to leave open the option of continuing to have dialogue with the Russian president, perhaps claim that he can bring an end to the war in Ukraine? So there's no set date for this as yet. It does seem to be ready to go when that date is given, but it's been sitting in the drawer already for quite some time.